If your output stays high but life feels empty, it's not your attitude. Your energy flow is misdesigned. You survived the entire day being competent, answered every email, handled every meeting, made every deadline. And then at 8 p.m., you're standing in your kitchen, staring at 2 sauce bottles, completely unable to decide which one goes on your chicken. That emptiness at night, it's not a personality flaw. Your fuel system is collapsing. I used to think I was just bad at evenings, like genuinely believed something was wrong with my mental stamina. I'd crush it at work. Back-to-back code reviews, architecture decisions, debugging sessions that required real focus. And then come home and feel like someone had scooped out everything behind my eyes. Not sleepy, not sad, just hollow. I'd open my fridge, see 5 perfectly good ingredients, close the fridge, open a delivery app, scroll for 20 minutes, give up, eat cereal, and feel vaguely ashamed about it. For the longest time, I called this laziness, or burnout, or maybe just being dramatic. But here's the thing I started noticing, and this is where it gets strange. My body wasn't actually tired. My legs were fine. My heart rate was normal. If someone had asked me to go for a walk, I probably could have walked for an hour. What was gone wasn't physical energy. It was something more specific. The ability to choose, the ability to evaluate 2 options, weigh them, and commit. That particular function had just shut down. I work at a medical device company. We build precision measurement tools, glucose monitors, ketone meters, the kind of instruments that turn biological signals into data. And because I'm surrounded by this stuff all day, I started wearing a continuous glucose monitor myself. Not because a doctor told me to, just because I'm that person. I wanted to see what my body was actually doing while I was busy thinking I understood it. And what I found quietly rearranged everything I thought I knew about willpower. On days when I had to make a lot of small decisions, not hard ones, just frequent ones, my glucose readings would show these tiny, restless oscillations throughout the afternoon. Not spikes, not crashes, just this jittery instability. Like my blood sugar couldn't find a steady place to sit. It reminded me of a signal processing problem at work, actually. When there's too much noise in the input, the system can't lock onto a clean reading. My body was doing the same thing. Too many micro demands, and the baseline just couldn't stabilize. On quieter days, same food, same sleep, but fewer decisions. The line was smoother, calmer. And I felt calmer too. Not because I'd rested more, because I'd asked less of the system. That's when something clicked for me. And I want to be honest, it took a while for this to really land. Every decision you make isn't just a mental event, it's a metabolic one. Your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your energy. And when you're making choices, even small, dumb ones like which socks to wear or whether to reply now or later, your brain has to request fuel. It has to signal your mitochondria, those tiny power generators inside your cells, to convert something into usable energy. And every time it makes that request, there's overhead. There's a switching cost. Think of it like a hybrid car engine. You've got 2 fuel sources, glucose and ketones, essentially. When the system is flexible, it shifts between them smoothly depending on demand. But when you've been running on one fuel all day, hammering it with decision after decision, the switching mechanism gets sluggish. It's not that you're out of gas, it's that your engine can't downshift anymore. You're stuck in high gear, with an empty tank in that gear, and the other tank is sitting right there, full. But your system forgot how to access it. That's metabolic inflexibility. And I'm starting to think it explains why so many high-functioning people feel wrecked by evening. Even when their output looks great on paper, the output stayed consistent, but the internal cost kept compounding. like a machine that maintains its speed while slowly overheating. The performance looks fine, until something quietly breaks. I noticed this in myself so clearly one week. Monday through Wednesday, I was sharp, making calls, writing clean code, cooking dinner with actual vegetables. By Thursday afternoon, I caught myself rereading the same Slack message 4 times and still not understanding what it was asking. I ordered takeout. I watched something I'd already seen. I went to bed feeling like I'd failed, even though, technically, I hadn't. My output was fine. My internal experience was not. So I started running a quiet experiment. Nothing dramatic, no overhaul, just 3 small shifts. First, I compressed my decisions. I picked my weekday lunches in advance. Same rotation, no thinking required. I laid out tomorrow's clothes before bed. I set a loose rule. No more than 3 spontaneous decisions before noon. Everything else was preloaded. This sounds boring. And honestly, it kind of is. But the cognitive bandwidth it freed up was embarrassing. Like, why was I spending real processing power every morning deciding between 2 nearly identical pairs of shoes? Second, I started training my body to switch fuels more easily. That meant using my walking commute home, about an hour, as a low-intensity fasted window. I wouldn't eat right before leaving. I'd let my body sit in that gentle space where it has to dip into stored energy, instead of relying on a quick glucose hit from a snack. I'm not going to pretend this was comfortable at first. The first few days, I was genuinely cranky by the time I got home. But after about a week, something loosened. The transition felt less jarring. My evenings started feeling less like a crash and more like a slow descent. Third, and this one felt the most personal, I started checking my fuel state before blaming my mindset. When I noticed that familiar, foggy, can't decide anything feeling creeping in, instead of telling myself to push through or questioning my motivation, I'd pause and ask, when did I last eat? What did I eat? How many decisions have I made in the last 3 hours? 9 times out of 10, the answer wasn't, you're lazy. The answer was, you've been running on fumes and asking your engine to keep switching gears. I want to be careful here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a software engineer who builds the instruments that measure this stuff. And I got curious enough to point one at myself. What I'm sharing isn't a protocol everyone should copy. It's what I noticed when I stopped blaming my character and started looking at the machinery underneath. And here's what I keep coming back to. The shift wasn't about resting more. It wasn't about some new motivational framework or morning routine with cold showers and journaling. It was about separating 2 things I'd been tangling together for years: decision structure and fuel structure. I've been trying to fix my decisions by changing my mindset, but the problem was never my mind. It was the metabolic cost of running my mind without understanding what was powering it. Some nights I still stand in front of the fridge and feel nothing. I still order takeout when I said I'd cook. I'm not fixed. But now, when that emptiness shows up, I don't spiral into self-criticism anymore. I just think, oh, okay. The system's tapped out. Not me. The system. And tomorrow, I'll load fewer decisions into the morning and see if the evening comes back. You're not getting weaker. You've just been processing too many choices on the same depleted fuel line and making your life lighter. That's not about strengthening your willpower. It's about redesigning how your energy flows.